Hi there, welcome to the Robot Program. I'm Professor E. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to get started with your Shell-E Innovation Kit and how to 3D print your own robot chassis. This kit lets you bring your 3D printed designs to life using the hardware components. You can either design your own chassis or shell, or you can start with our example project. To get started, you'll need to download the EasyBuilder software. You can find the software at easyrobot.com. Click on Software and download EasyBuilder Installer. Click Open to run the installer, and then you're going to enter the EasyBuilder Setup Wizard. Click Next and choose the typical install type. Click Install, and now wait as it installs the software. Click Finish to launch EasyBuilder. Read through the terms of use and click to accept the conditions. If you don't have an EasyRobot account, now's the time to make one. If you'd like to learn more about a specific robot, you can click on the image to go to the robot course on our website. For now though, I'm going to click Skip, and in the Example Projects menu, I'm going to click on the TRP Shell-E example. In this example project, you'll find some default controls for the Shell-E robot. It also includes the building instructions. If prompted, click Sync Now to update all of the latest Easy bits from the Easy Cloud. This gives you all of the updated files for printing your Shell-E robot. The build instructions will take you through all of the steps to actually put together your Shell-E robot. But first, we need to 3D print the chassis that we're going to use to add the hardware components to. Over here on the right-hand side, we can see the Farscape DRD bottom chassis. That's the example Shell-E build that is based off of the DRD robot from the TV series Farscape. Those are the ones that we're going to print today. The top, the bottom, and the brackets that are inside holding the continuous rotation servos. So there's 3 different STL files that we'll need to get from the software. STL files are used for 3D printing. If I click on the eye icon next to my EasyBit, I can see more information. And here it says Save STL. I'm going to click Save and download it to my computer. Read through and accept the terms of use. So in my EasyBuilder account, I'm going to save bottom STL. Okay. I'm going to click Next and keep going until I get to my continuous servo with wheel and the servo clip. Good, and again, I'm going to accept the terms of use and save my STL. And then I'm going to keep clicking through until I get to my Farscape DRD top body. Again, save the STL and save to my computer. Okay, for now I'm going to close the building instructions because I need my chassis before I can start building my robot. Now it's time to take my files to my 3D printer and start the 3D printing process. To print the files, I need to get them into my 3D printing software. So I've saved them all here to a folder called TRP Shell-E files, and I've got the bottom STL file, the servo clip, and the top STL file. I'm going to open up MakerBot, and you're going to open up whatever software you're using for 3D printing. So in here I can say Add File, and the first one I'm going to print is the top. Click Open, and I don't want to scale it. So it's too big for my printer window here. So first I'm going to click on my shape. This is our top chassis. And I can change the position and I can rotate it. So I'm going to rotate it until it's lying flat on the podium. Good. And then I'm going to put it on the platform and center it. Great, so you want to make sure that your print is going to be in line with whatever your dimensions are. So in this case, I know that if something is off of here, it's going to be off of the printer bed, and I'm not going to be able to print it. So this is the top of my Shell-E chassis, and it's ready to be printed. First, I have to change a few settings though. So in here, I want to make sure that the layer height is 0.2 millimeters. This is our recommended layer height. We also recommend an infill of 10%. I'm also using a raft, and it's up to you if you want to use a raft depending on your 3D printer. And I'll show you what the raft looks like when we're finished with our print. This just helps to give a little bit more security and stability for the print on the platform. I know that the filament I'm using is a PLA that requires a temperature of 250 degrees Celsius. Again, depending on the filament you're using, it might be a little bit different. I'm going to click OK to save my settings. And now I'm ready to send it to my printer. So I'm going to select my device. And I'm going to click Print. I'm just going to open up the bottom chassis and the servo bracket files so we can see what they look like. So in here, let's start a new file. And I'm going to add in the bottom chassis. And again, don't scale. And I'm going to rotate my shape. So this is what my bottom chassis should look like before printing. And last but not least, I'm going to create another new file. Using my servo clip. So you can see here, I've got one servo clip, and I actually recommend flipping this to print it as well. And again, I'm going to center it and place it on the platform. And you'll need to print 2 of these servo clips. The print time for the top chassis is about 9 hours, and the bottom chassis takes about 4.5 hours, but this will depend on your printer. It'll also depend on if you make any changes to the file. Maybe you want to get creative and completely design your own version of the top to go onto the bottom chassis. That's great, and we want to see that creativity, but it might change how much filament you use and how long your print time is. Remember to print 2 of the servo brackets. So you're going to print the top chassis, the bottom chassis, and 2 of the brackets. Now that my prints are finished, it's time to get them ready for the building process. First, I'm going to take out the platform with my bottom chassis. And I'm going to remove my 2 servo clips. And I have a platform with my top chassis. Because I did the 3D printing on a raft, it means that a little bit of extra plastic is on each of my prints. So first I have to separate the raft from my print. When we're using tools, we want to make sure that we're using them safely. I'm going to put on gloves as a precaution. Now, even though I'm wearing the gloves, I want to make sure that I'm scraping away from myself and doing it safely. Okay, so now my bottom chassis is ready to go. I'm just going to put that to the side for a minute. And I'm going to repeat the process for my top chassis. Okay. So as you can see, I've got this little bit of extra plastic that was used to secure my print, and you may or may not have it depending on your printer or printer settings. So I don't need to use this, so I can discard this. And the pieces that I need for building are my top shell, my bottom chassis, and my 2 servo clips. And now I'm ready to build my Shell-E robot. In this episode, we reviewed the steps for 3D printing your own robot chassis to use with the Shell-E Innovation Kit. To access the example STL files, you'll need to download EasyBuilder from EasyRobot.com. Run the EasyBuilder installer and select the typical install type. Read and then accept the terms of use, and if you don't already have one, create an EasyCloud account. From the Bookmarks menu, click on Example Projects and choose the TRP Shell-E Example Project. This is an example project that has some default controls for getting started with your Shell-E robot. Open the build instructions to find the STL files for each of the easy bits. Click through the build instructions to find the files for the top chassis, the bottom chassis, and the servo clips. Follow the recommended instructions for your 3D printer and its software. We recommend the settings of 0.2 millimeters and 10% infill. You can choose to use a raft if you want a little bit more stability for your print. Be sure to print 2 servo clips in addition to the top and bottom chassis. The Farscape-inspired DRD robot chassis will take about 9 hours to print the top and about 4.5 hours to print the bottom chassis. If you are using any tools to remove your 3D prints from the platforms, be sure to do so safely. Now that you've 3D printed all of the pieces for your robot chassis, check out the next episode to learn how to assemble your robot. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Which 4 components need to be 3D printed to create the robot? What is the recommended infill setting value? What is a raft used for in 3D printing? Find the answers at therobotprogram.com.